And here we are at the beginning of the wet season in a very empty year. We're older and we're stronger, but the colony is struggling, which is why, more than anything else, we need to work in geoponics. But first, you can just run around, seeing if there's anything to collect, just checking in with everyone. Cal trundles by you with an empty wheelbarrow. Hey Solana, he calls out, get in, we're going planting. Yep, let's go. So let's work on the farm. You overhear Chief Steward Ann begging your mom to give her extra rations for the children in the creche. It's hard to hear your mom turn her away, but what choice does she have? As her head of the kitchens, Chief Steward Ann stops by often to get a sense of how thin she has to stretch the meals this week. Every time she leaves looking a little bit older and more fatigued. So it's so discouraging to work the fields day after day and have almost nothing to show for it. You truly feel helpless. You hear an uproar from outside the fields and run over, worried there's been an accident. Unbelievably, people are cheering. Your mom proudly holds a potato plant over her head in one hand, her biceps straining under the weight of the tubers and the clumpy brown soil. You count 3, 5, 7. 7 perfect mature potatoes on this one plant. Stretching all around you in the field, the leafy green tops of other plants wave in the breeze. You look around at the other agriculturalists. Some of them have tears of relief in their eyes, and everyone is smiling and laughing. When the rains come, it's time to harvest the crops. Really, this should have been done before wet, but everyone's been so busy that the corn is practically dropping to the ground, laden with fat yellow knobs. It's going to be a struggle to get everything harvested before it rots. It's up to you, Cal, and the rest of the agriculturists to save this year's harvest. Your mom claps you and Cal on the back. Come on, kids, she says. A little hard work won't hurt you. Why don't you make a game out of it and see which one of you can harvest the most ears of corn? Cal almost never likes to get competitive, but he begrudgingly admits that you both probably work faster if you pretend to compete. Game on. Well, I have more biology than toughness, so we'll do that. Okay. So, there, and there. That's 11. Okay. Here's 1. Four. Okay. Here's 0. 5, 4, 6, 8. Ooh. That's 26. What if 4, 24, 26, still 26. I could try using some mushwood. But still, that's only puts us at cancel. Hold on. How many? So I have 4. So that gives us 8 more, which is still not enough. The game was a good idea, but clearly Cal's just on another level entirely. He's finished all his rows before you and has to help you with yours too. You're both a little embarrassed, but he's proud enough for both of you and just happy it all got done. As long as the colony has enough food, we're all good, Cal says, shaking the rein off himself like a dog. It's true, but at the same time, you secretly hope to beat him next harvest. Yeah. But at least we're doing better, and does that mean new perk, extra enhancement, enhance your DNA engineering, biology level 3? Cool. Hey, Cal. You find Cal in the gardening shed splitting his lunch with socks. Here, girl, eat up, he says, feeding her little nuggets of cubed triplet by hand. She chirps and twines around his arm, waving her little front feet. He sees you and jumps, then relaxes when he realizes it's only you. She usually eats a little bit of the harvest, he confides sheepishly. With everyone watching the food so closely, I didn't want her to get in trouble. Yeah. Well, you want to get back to it? I want to check something really quick. Enhance your DNA in engineering. Oh! Okay, so according to the court, to that, we can enhance our DNA and engineer. Tinker with your DNA? Of all the people in the colony, you understand genetics the best. Besides Dr. Instance, probably she trusts you to attend the gene tech machine. With access to the machine like this, you could give yourself new genetic enhancements. Sure, you probably shouldn't mess with your genome too much in vivo, but one little change couldn't hurt. I need more time to think. It's a big decision, not to be taken lightly. You'll be back when you're ready. And for now, let's go help on the farm again. Or maybe we can do some... Well, we're actually almost to toughness, so... And this one gets more kudos, so this one. Half the crops you pull look blighted, like they're moldy before you even pull them off the plant. Many of the leaves are pale and yellow. Your mom takes one look at them and starts muttering about nitrogen deficiency. You almost feel guilty breaking for lunch. Kitchens deliver you a watery sort of potato soup with some pale greens floating in it. You eat every flavorless drop. You can't bear to waste a single spoonful. It barely gives you enough energy to make it through the rest of the day. You work yourself to the point of exhaustion every day, but you don't even know if you're doing any good here anymore. Okay. Well, I guess 2, 3, and 6. Oh, that's annoying. Can we switch these? Yes, we can. And now it's a win. And now it's late wet season. Hey, Cal. Sure, we can go planting. Your mom was really counting on the rice crops to flourish on Vertumna, but no luck. The soil just isn't right. It hurts to have lost such a staple crop. You find your mom almost collapsed over a sack of soil, her head in her hands. When she hears you, her head snaps up, her eyes wide. You try to leave quietly before she realizes you saw her cry. You work yourself to the point of exhaustion every day, but you don't even know if you're doing any good here anymore. Okay. So Here we go. And we got 3 stars! It's been 3 seasons of heavy food rationing, getting more and more strict as the year dragged on and the fields continued to struggle. You've been wasting away. You all have. It's not just the lack of calories. There just aren't enough vitamins and good stuff in the food you are eating. Your muscles ache all the time. Sometimes you feel strangely euphoric, filled with inexplicable energy, but often it feels like there are weights tied to your shoulders pulling you down. You're tougher than most, but you still have trouble sleeping despite being tired all the time. You spend the whole day in a dazed fog. It's hard to tell dreams from reality. Last week you were brushing your teeth when you noticed some of your teeth were wiggling. Oh, I have nightmares about that all the time, especially when I have a dentist appointment. It's so annoying. Last week you were brushing your teeth when you noticed some of your teeth were wiggling. You brushed and watched all of your teeth begin to fall out of your mouth, clicking in the sink like pebbles and washing down the drain. Horrified, you started to scream, only to snap out of it and realize you've been staring at yourself in the mirror the whole time, lost in a hallucination. Your friends stop working or retreat to their quarters. You lie to each other on the holonet saying you're all okay, just taking it easy, waiting for the harvest. Well, the harvest came and went, as meager as ever. Your mother still hasn't given up, and never stops working as much as your dad begs her to. She must be sleeping in geoponics because you hardly ever see her in the family quarters anymore. From where you lie nestled in bed with your cozy fog, it all seems far, far too much effort to bother with, but I still want to help my mom. You're out there in the fields with her, being her sidekick, helping fetch things. She never slows down. When the robo-plow finally breaks under pressure, she doesn't. She's out there even longer, doing everything by hand. Both your parents feel responsible for this famine, but as head of geoponics, your mom takes it personally. She's been skipping meals, relying on water and pressed soy bar rations, just enough calories to keep her body moving, but not enough to stay healthy. Yet she never lets up working herself to the bone, barely even sleeping, increasingly sallow-eyed and gaunt. You and your dad try to slow her down, but, well, she's a stubborn woman. If not her, she says, then who? You and your dad are in the lounge, slowly slipping your vegetable broth, when there's a commotion at the doors. Someone's running in, gasping for breath, yelling for you and your father to come to geoponics. You run over, knowing deep in the pit of your stomach that something terrible has happened. When you see the faces of the agriculturalists, your mom's people, you know that feeling is real. Your dad sees her body first. He lets out a cry, like something you've never heard before, a deep, unimaginable pain dragged up from the darkest parts of where fear lives. Mom. Your dad falls to his knees beside the frail body of your mother. He pulls her into his arms and sobs, wretched and agonized. You don't even know what to think. Your mom always seemed larger than her body, but seeing her now, there's nothing there, just a fragile shell. We need to get her to the med bay now. They tell you she didn't even cry out. She just went to her knees and then lay down in the dirt, and that was it. She's gone? She just died of exhaustion? Your mother's body is taken to the incinerator room, and that night the colony gathers to pay their respects. Like Tammy's funeral, the incinerator room has been cleared and the wreath of flowers placed over the mouth of the organics recycler. They're white astrantia, your mother's favorite flower, carefully carried from earth with the hopes of it flourishing on Vertumna, just like you. You stand with your father and Aunt Anne. Utica and the rest of the council are here as well, including Rhett. You're surprised to see tears rolling down his face. He's such a hard-ass in the garrison. Cal is here with all the other agriculturists. The rest of the colony waits in the canteen to offer their condolences after the service. Governor Udicott gives the eulogy. As a colony, we share our blessings, she begins solemnly. However, today, in sad company, we gather to share the burden of our grief. Florescent was born on Earth, but she, more than many of us, exemplified the spirit of our endeavor to bring life to beyond the stars. She bore life, not only in her body, but bringing it forth from the ground she so faithfully attended. In debt we owe her is the kind that we can never be repaid, she continues. It is with a deep and unbearable grief that we must continue on without her, in awe and respect for her sacrifice, in depth of which was never expected of her, but which she did not expect from anyone else. It is on her strong shoulders that she carries us still. Udicott closes the door to the recycler, and the particle disintegrators begin to reclaim the molecules that once formed your mother. Your father squeezes your shoulder, making a small, choked-off noise of pain. As a community, we remember Florescent. As a community, we return her body to the soil that nourishes us. In this way, her sacrifice is recognized in the manifest body of the colony. The ceremony is adjourned to the canteen, where a somber wake is held in your mother's memory. There isn't enough food to dull the emotions, and your empty stomach only reminds you of her unfinished work. Your father is the new head of geoponics. In a few hours, he receives your mother's remains so that he can add them to the colony's precious supply of brown soil from Earth. You touch the cool lid of the container, marveling that your mother could fit in such a small box. You don't have to be okay, your dad says quietly, his voice thick with emotion. I know I'm not. I have to keep going where she left off, but you should take some time off. I guess I'll listen to my dad then, instead. And now it's glow season. The prospect of just going back to work like everything is normal is too much to handle. The sun dips below the horizon and glow begins. You end up spending the whole month alternating between sleeping and scrolling the holonet, staring into space. It's restful, at least. I guess it would be hard going back into geoponics. That's where Mom lived. That was Mom's place. It would be odd being there without her. A few days after the funeral, surveyors return with an unexpected bounty from the Valley of Vertigo. It's enough to survive for another month, until the new year. Maybe if you keep rationing, the colony will continue to limp along, but without your mother. The roar wakes you. It would wake the dead. It shakes the walls, rumbles through the ship's hull, and makes your heart skip a beat. You're paralyzed by a sudden clench of fear in your gut. Through your porthole window, you hear metal screeching and people shouting. Then another roar, a guttural and rumbling, like the sound of a mountain collapsing. Something enormous is out there. Your dad can't hide the look of fear on his face, but he tries. Sounds like we better get a move to the assembly point. Hey, kiddo! You head for the creche together. You huddle with your buds, Mars, Dees, Cal. Because it's the middle of the night, almost everyone was in their beds. Some people were still wearing their pajamas and sleep bonnets. Only Anemone is missing. And the children's creche is buried deep in the belly of the stratospheric, making it one of the safest places you could be. Even so, the youngest children are scared and there's a lot of crying. We'll try to comfort them. Somehow, even with the sirens blaring, some of the youngest drift off in your arms. After an hour, someone in the defense squad rushes in and orders everyone to leave the creche. The battle is getting close to the stratospheric. Before you can even get everyone to their feet, you feel the ship lurch and resettle at a different angle. Something is attacking the ship itself. The children scream, some scatter in all directions, and others sit there, paralyzed with fear. Without warning, the entire wall of the creche just peels away like a tin can, letting a rush of cold night air tinged with ozone of rifle fire. You look and see it, up close, face to face. What is that? It has no face. In place of a face, or even a head, its body just unzips, revealing a mess of writhing pink tentacles and blinking eyes. Anemone and her brother Calm are among the security squad, trying wildly to divert it away from the living quarters. It smashes into the ship again and roars, calling up a terrible noise from somewhere within its swept wet crawl. You hear all the children scream. We have to save the little kids. I mean, they're so young. We have to win this one. Okay. We can do... two... Oh. No, we have more space. 3, 2, or should... Okay, that one does give us more. Okay. Okay. 1, 3, 4, 6, 8. Come on, push through. We have to save those kids. It takes a tremendous effort to keep your head. Your calm helps the children who finally listen to you and flee the crash. Your dad ushers you to the engineering wing, where you cower with the others, trying not to panic. All around you, metal screams and buckles, and great tremors vibrate through the ship. Finally, after what seems like hours, the noise stops, and congruent sounds the all clear. Your dad checks the council bulletins on his hollow palm. Oh no, he moans quietly. No, no, no. The council calls an all-colony meeting to face the aftermath of the attack in the oppressive gloom of glow. You gather near engineering with the other survivors. It's one of the few buildings still standing. The corpse of the faceless still sits in the caved-in wreckage of the stratospheric, spilling its flaccid pink tentacles from its horrible zipper-toothed maw. It's already beginning to stink. Your mind keeps replaying that terrible moment, the faceless rearing up and obscuring the sky, Anemone and her brother Calm looking so small before it. I hope they're okay. Governor Udicott was killed by the smaller creatures that swarmed command during the attack. In her absence, Seek addresses the colony. The council acknowledges the bravery of the defense squad, citing their heroism in finally taking down the faceless. If only it hadn't gotten away from them and stampeded right into the stratospheric. At least they stopped it before it got into engineering, as it would have activated the reactor and left a crater the size of an asteroid impact. Geoponics is gone. The greenhouse destroyed and fields trampled. After a year of suffering, starving, and only barely scraping by, you're not just back where you started, it's even worse. Everything your mom sacrificed herself for, gone in one night. The entire front half of the stratospheric has been destroyed. The living quarters, the canteen, the garrison, the lounge, even the creche, it's all gone. It's only by some stroke of luck that people hiding in the creche weren't all killed. This must be the destruction that we saw in our dreams. Seek solemnly reads the names of those who lost their lives. Too many, including Governor Udicott. You all stand for a moment of silence. You feel the weight of loss like a blow to your chest. Anemone and her family cry out when her brother Calm's name is called, and their quiet sobbing continues through the silence. Poor Anemone and antecedent. With the living quarters destroyed, everyone moves into the engineering wing for shelter. You're crowded into the classroom with other families. The adults try to make it seem like a sleepover, but you're all still so shaken. Anemone cries about her brother and screams at anyone who tries to comfort her. Eventually, you just ignore her grief, as painful as it is to hear her sobbing all night. You feel like you've been awake for days, and you'll never fully sleep again. You try, but you keep jerking awake, crying out in fear. Eventually, you fall asleep sitting up, held in your father's arms. Your sleep is fitful, but mercifully dreamless. I guess all there is to do is rest for now. And take in the wreckage. Oh my goodness. Geoponics. Dad, cow. Dees. The gate. Anemone. Where's Anemone? I don't see her. I guess we'll try to figure out what to do to pick up the pieces next time here on the planet Vertumna.